Okay, so someone said, I just got my locks in June and I have tons of questions. I constantly watch your videos, which have been helpful, but oh my goodness. Yep. I guess I'm in the ugly stage with heat damage. Okay, so if you have heat damage, um, let me see if it's the same person. Okay, if you're starting your hair off with a relaxer, or if you've been pressing your hair for a while, because some of y'all be thinking, oh, I only press like once or twice. It depends on how much heat that person used on your hair. Will determine how heat damage your hair is. So when I was in my 20s, I walked in one of my good friends' wedding, right? I was natural, and she wanted all of us. You know, back then when they want when everybody wants you to, when the bride wanted all the bridesmaids to have the same hairstyle. Okay, so this was one of the weddings, right? She wanted everybody to have the same hairstyle, and I was all natural, but she wanted this sewed in weave. I didn't have locks then, but she wanted this sewed in weave, that's all curl and flowy and stuff. It was pretty, but I was all natural. So she had this one stylist who would do all the bridesmaids' hair, right? So I went to that person. This was in Miami now. I went to this person to do my hair. She braided it, sewed in the thing. It was cute, but the leave out, she pressed it with the Marcel or something like that. Baby, when I tell you that press, she pressed it like, I think she did like 2 or 3 passes. When I tell you that hair stayed straight and the curls never reverted back. Like the curls did not come back at all. Not even not even a wave. Nothing came back. That thing was bone straight. I washed, I did whatever I could. Nothing came back. So it all depends on the temperature the person is using, the type of product tool that they're using to straighten your hair can like tell you, will kind of determine if it's going to be heat damage or not. Even if you don't press your hair with really high heat, pressing your hair over time, you're really training your hair. You're training your curls to relax. So, although you might have some waves, some curls, I bet you it's not as tight as it used to be when you didn't curl press before. So, if you are starting off with some type of heat damage, as your new growth comes in, that texture is going to be different from the heat damaged part. So, what I tell people, protective styles are best. Put your hair in a protective style to keep the straight part from bunching, right? Because once you go to shampoo, that straight part, that straight hair, it doesn't really matte. Uh, it will matte, but it will like bunch before it mattes. So keeping it in protective side is going to help the straight part from not bunching, but it is going to bunch where it intersects, right? Where the natural hair with the damaged hair intersect is going to bunch right there. It won't be as much, but it's going to bunch right there. So I just tell people, wear it like that, be patient with it. And once your natural curls, when it's long enough to cut and when it's locked, then you can cut the straight part off. But that stuff requires patience, honey, because that straight part is just going to bunch up because straight hair does not swell. When you lock it, it's going to, like my hair, when I finally locked my hair and that straight part was there, that part stayed, the lock part stayed straight and did not swell. It didn't do anything. So you had my natural hair and then you had this straight interlock piece, right? So as my hair grew out, I ended up cutting it off. Okay, so now I am 7 weeks into my journey. I know that water is the go-to. My question is there a limit of how many times a day you can mist your hair? Well, you don't want to be missing it too much. Water helps your hair to lock, yes, but you don't want to overdo it because there's such a thing as oversaturation, right? You don't want to saturate it too much. So if you do it in the morning, mist it in the morning to give it some life. I wouldn't do it any more for the rest of the day. Hi, I've heard you mention salt water and a good way to make the hair a lot quicker. Should we mist the hair with salt water? And what type of salt water do you recommend? You could mist your hair if you are in the new stage and you're trying to expedite your locking process. You could mist with salt water. Salt water, all it does, it's either you go to the beach or you get you some salt water. Okay, so salt water. But then I've been hearing some crazy stuff been happening at the beaches lately. So be careful. Okay, sharks riding, all close up to be careful, okay? So salt water helps stiffen the hair. So it doesn't dry it out, but it just helps stiffen the strands of your hair. So our Caucasian folks, right? You see how they trying to get their little spikes and stuff and just have some type of stiffness with their little, especially the men when they do all that stuff. They're using stuff that have like salt water effects in it. Okay, so you can spray that in your hair. I wouldn't recommend daily, but maybe 3 times a week is good to mist your hair. Keep in mind, okay, because I gotta say this because I had a client. I would tell her this, and then she would go on YouTube, and YouTube told her to moisturize. So now she's moisturizing and doing the soft. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? You doing one thing to cause one thing, but you want it soft. You can't have both. You choose one. Do you want it to lock faster, or do you want it to be soft and whatever it is? So if you want it to lock faster, it's going to stiffen it up a little bit. So if it feels hard, if it feels rough or whatever, that is the process. So don't do that and then go spray it with rose water, leave-in conditioner, and then oil and all that. Don't spray that and do all of that, okay? And if you need a recommendation, just go on my website, entoibeauty.com. I have a sea salt spray on there. And one thing I like about my sea salt spray is just 3 ingredients, because some of them be adding glycerin, some of them got oils in there. You don't need all that. How can you safely change a locking pattern, specifically from 4 point to reverse 4 point? Reason is because my hair was previously maintained in locks. With change, the growth outside of the lock is an issue. Okay, so it sounds like you have hair growing outside the lock, so you want to switch to a reverse 4 to make sure to give you a tighter pattern to make sure the hairs are staying in. One, if you have hair that grows outside the lock, unfortunately, some of it will still go away. Okay, some of it will still, you might still have it grow outside the lock. But if you currently have a 4, just on your next retie, just switch to a reverse 4. And just make sure if you ended on a 12, go in through a 9. Don't go in through 12 again. So go in through a 9 and then continue with your rotation. So you can just switch. You don't need to do anything special to switch or anything like that. You can just switch from the 4 to the reverse 4. Okay. And then if you are a loctician, when you're make sure before you start locking that you pull the strands in and then start interlocking. You're welcome. I went for a Sisterlocs. What's SS? Is it Sisterlocs? Consultation. And the consultant told me she only used a 4-point rotation. I think I'm a 3-point because my hair is very curly. I also have fine and low medium density. I want volume. Okay, yeah. If for people with a looser curl pattern, fine hair, I do 3-point just to, because the 3-point is going to give a slight bend. And when it does that, it gives volume. Why would she only use one rotation in everyone? Oh, listen. Just because someone takes a Sisterloc class, folks are still going to do, it's still their own business. So they're going to do what they want to do. And some people get comfortable with one rotation and don't want to do another rotation. Like, so it all depends on the individual. I can't tell you why this person will do. I remember one situation that my mentor told me, that there was a young lady who worked in a salon or whatever, Sisterloc trained and everything. She did a 3-point on everybody's head. And it's because 3-point is quicker. 3-point, you're literally going, like you just, it's just, it's easier. But when you have with a 4-point, you're literally going this right here, going in this direction, baby. When somebody don't keep their head in the position you need it to be, that risk, all that movement, it's sometimes uncomfortable. So some people like to bypass this movement to save time and to protect, their wrist, especially depending on the tools that they're using. Some tools are more strenuous than others. So yeah, that person was only doing 3-point, child, just to get things done quicker. And some people just gonna do what they want to do. Unfortunately, even if they're trained one way, they just gonna do what they want to do. No problem.